I have a confession to make. For 20 years, I believed a lie about myself. Not only did I believe a lie about myself, I believed a lie about everyone. And that lie was this: there are those who are creative in the world and those who are not creative in the world. And I was not creative. It took a long time, but I dismantled that belief and eventually started creating. And I found out that, lo and behold, I am a bit of a creative, the creative type. I like creating things every so often. And it's that very topic that we're going to be talking about in this week's video. How every single person listening to my voice, watching this video, is a creative in ways that you might not even realize within yourself. And the reason we're talking about this is because I read Creative Confidence by Tom and David Kelley, and they speak about how every single person is creative, and they define creative confidence like this: believing in your ability to bring about change in the world. That's what they see as creative confidence, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. How creative confidence leads to innovations, and not just small innovations, but innovations that change the world. What are the ingredients that they provide that help lead us down paths to innovate things that help change the world? All right, so we're going to talk about their first chapter, and it was entitled Flip. The whole point of the first chapter is going from one belief to another belief, and that's what they call flipping or flip. It's when you believe you're not creative and then you flip and you believe that you are creative. And this kind of change of mental state that they talk about occurred with this guy. His name is Doug Dietz. And Doug Dietz was the guy who helped design the MRI machine. And this was one of his crown jewel accomplishments. And so he went into a hospital one day to see it get installed. And he waited giddy with anticipation to see how the parents were going to react to their child coming in to get a scan. And what he saw, he was mortified by, because the children were crying, they were nervous, they were anxious, they weren't too sure if they could sit still for as long as they could. And so what he did was he changed the way that he thought about. He flipped his mind from this is a brilliant invention, which was tech forward, to this is an invention that needs to be people forward. He developed a sense of empathy for the process. And so what he did, which is brilliant, is that he designs each one of the rooms to be different adventures that the kids can go on. So for example, the MRI machine makes a whole lot of noise. Well, in the space adventures, one of the nurses yells out, "Oh, we're going into hyperdrive," and it makes this bang, bang, bang noise. And instead of the kid freaking out, he thinks it's all a part of the game. And so what Doug Dietz did was he flipped his mind from being technologically focused to user empathy focused, which is how he was able to innovate to create something excellent for the people that he was creating it for. The people he was creating it. We're stuck in a loop for them. So that was the first chapter on flipping your mental state from going, I can't do this, to I can do this, which then led very seamlessly into the second chapter, which was entitled Dare. And Dare is all about overcoming creative fear. And overcoming creative fear really is the first step to any true innovation. Because if you're afraid of the product that you're making, or you're worried, or you're anxious, or you're not too sure X, Y, or Z, you're really never going to get past the kind of barriers that you need to work through the broken prototypes to actually make it something that ships, that's something that sells, something that's revolutionary for the world. And the way that they say to overcome this fear is the same way that you get over your fear of snakes or spiders or anything like that. And it's having a series of small steps that you're able to take with someone who is guiding you along the journey. And those small incremental steps done consistently over a period of time, eventually you'll get to the point where the things that you once feared no longer seem intimidating. So maybe for you, it's starting that hobby that you've always wanted to do, but you really haven't gotten the courage to just take the first step because of fear, because you're not too sure if you're going to be any good at it. Let me break the news for you. You're going to be terrible at it. But that's the whole point. That's why they entitled this chapter Dare. It's because we have to think about it as if we're daring ourselves to become the kind of people that we know that we could become. So that's the second chapter. The third chapter is all about inspiration. So this is how innovators come up with their brilliant ideas. Ideas? This is how innovators come up with their brilliant ideas, and it's entitled Spark. What they recommend to come up with the best inventions, the best business models, whatever you want to call it, is by taking field trips. And I know we've talked about this in previous books, but they really can't stress it enough how important it is for you to get out of the environment that you're currently in. So let's say that you often record videos inside. Try recording a video outside. Let's say that you find all your inspiration in books. Try to find it in movies. Let's say that you only go to all-inclusives in Mexico when you're trying to travel. You know who I'm talking to. Maybe try to take a trip to France or Nepal or somewhere in Asia or somewhere in Europe or wherever you want to go. But getting yourself out of the normal, comfortable environments in which you find yourself tends to make it so that you spark new ideas, because really it's like you're coming at it with a beginner's mind. You're going, oh, I've never seen that before, or I didn't know cathedrals could be that old, or I didn't know they could be that beautiful, until you've been to Italy. Sorry, I don't mean to be shaming anyone if you haven't been to Italy, but unless you've been to Italy, you don't know what it's like to gaze upon something that's 500, 600, 700 years old. But when you do so, it changes the way that you approach creativity. And then the second aspect is something that he calls a bug list. The point of the bug list is to identify certain things within your life that perpetually cause frustration. And no, you can't put your in-laws. No, I'm just kidding. It's the systems at work that you always have to work around, or the route to work that always seems to be problematic. It's finding those little things, because you're able to identify problems. That is the first step in innovation. That's the first spark, if you will, of solving problems that are worth solving. Because if you're asking the question, if you're running into the problem, there's a good chance that that's correct, that someone else is probably running into the problem. I rest my case. So that's the third point, the spark, finding innovation through travel and keeping a bug list. Now, on to the fourth point, which is the leap. And the leap is exactly what it sounds like it is. What Tom and David consistently talk about throughout this book is that ideation and brainstorming and thinking through things are always subordinate to the people who take action. It's always secondary to those who are willing to take the leap, to take the jump, to do the thing, to make the art, to start the business. Oh my God. Wow, keep it coming, Pastor. Thoughts are always secondary to action, because thoughts don't change the world. Actions change the world. Great ideas don't change the world. Innovation changes the world, because what innovation does is it pulls from the ideas and it brings them into life. And that's the point that we all struggle with. That's the point where we go, oh, shucks, I don't know if I'm a creative. I don't know if I could do it. Well, the only reason you think that is because you don't have a track record of bringing ideas to life. But imagine if you did. Imagine if instead of overthinking the thing that you were trying to create, you just said, well, I've got 1 hour. I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be a piece of trash, and that's okay. I'm going to throw it right in the trash when I start doing it. But you have to start. I'm not going to labor the point. We've talked about this tremendously. But the way to innovation, the way to create things like the big leagues, like the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates and the people who really have created inventions that have shaped our worlds, is you have to take the leap. You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to innovate. You have to be willing to work on prototypes. Anyways, that's point 4. On to point 5. Point 5 is all about how you find the thing that you're putting your energy to, and it's entitled Seek. And the point that they identify within this chapter that I found really poignant is that they pull from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's book Flow, which I will link here in the banner or in the description if you want to watch that video. I've done a review on that. But they say the thing that you know you want to put your energy to, the thing that you want to spend the rest of your life doing, whoop, 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 is the activity that makes time absolutely melt away and you deeply enjoy it. Potentially, you're a very type A kind of a person and you love analytics and problem solving and you love when your ducks are in a row. Perhaps when you're at work, those are the kind of tasks that you seem to just settle into. You could spend hours and hours doing them and you're like, whoa, I actually really enjoyed that. It was challenging. I had to solve some problems, but I was able to dedicate my energy and my time to that way of approaching things. And you entered into a flow state where you don't have a sense of ego. You're just engaging with the task in a way that is fruitful and productive. That's the type A kind of a person. The type B kind of a person, perhaps you like drawing, or perhaps you like doodling on the back of a napkin, or whatever it is for you. You got to find that thing that you want to spend your time and your energy doing. And again, this isn't necessarily about making the most money. This is about innovation. This is about coming up with new ways and systems of doing things that could potentially change the world around you. And that, my friends, is the 5th point. Seek. You have to find the passion, the thing that sets you ablaze, your flow state. And in doing so, it'll lead you towards paths of innovation, much like the greats. The greats. Whatever the heck that means. But that's really where the 6th and final point comes in. And it's entitled Team. And I can't stress this enough. If you're trying to be someone who innovates like people that we look up to the most in the world, you have to realize that without Wozniak, there would be no Steve Jobs. Without Mr. Beast's team, there would be no Mr. Beast. Innovation always comes when you're dialoguing and conversing and chewing on things with other people. And my encouragement to you would be work with your friends. Create projects, do things with the people that you love so that it feels like you're just able to hang out. But you're also pushing the boundaries of what you thought possible. So to summarize and to land the plane, you have to flip the way you think from believing that you're not a creative person to you genuinely being someone who can create things, much like the great innovators of the world. You have to get over the fear of creating things by helping someone guide you along the process of overcoming that fear with setting small goals and reaching those goals. You have to do more travel. You have to get out of your comfort zone to find that spark, the creative inspiration. And then once you have that spark, you have to be willing to get it out into the real world as quickly as humanly possible. You have to take the leap. And as you take that leap over and over again, you'll start seeking out the things that you're the most passionate about, the things that you believe you were placed on earth to do. And as you do that perpetually, you'll realize that you can't do it alone. And to the final point, you have to have a team alongside you. So that's the process of innovation, and that's the book, Creative Confidence. If you want to pick the book up, it is in the description. But feel free to leave a comment. What out of those 6 steps do you find the most difficult? Or what's one that you absolutely love, that you've been thinking about, that you're really glad I was able to give expression to? What's something you agree with, something you disagree with? I would love to hear your thoughts. I read the comments every single video, and I would love to hear from you. And if you found this video helpful, feel free to share it with a friend. It would mean a lot to me. But stay tuned, I have an announcement coming very shortly that kind of will explain a little bit more of the future of this channel. So looking forward to that, and I will chat with you all very soon. Bye.